is Oulton Park in Cheshire, and the start of the most keenly anticipated competition in British motorsport this year, the 2014 British GT Championship. With a capacity grid full of top teams, drivers and a stunning array of supercars, breathtakingly close action is guaranteed. This is going to be a lot of fun.
British GT is probably the most competitive championship in the world at the minute.
Professional series, you see how many cars there are, how many teams there are taking it very, very seriously.
It's testimony to the fact that it's, probably the strongest GT series in the world at the moment.
Very strict on keeping one true amateur driver in each car.
Still not convinced? Then let's take a look at what happened last year.
The 2013 season is go. Oh, and they're on! That could be a mistake by Blundell. On the teammates, they've hit each other. Success for Andrew Howard and Johnny Adam. This is the final. Our 2013 champion, Andrew Howard. Harvard and Ratcliffe are the GT4 champions.
As the championship enters its 21st year, it really has come of age. We're expecting an immense battle for title honours. Let's have a look at some of the main runners and riders. Here's Martin Haven.
If we've learned anything from the last couple of years, it's not to make predictions, but we can at least make a guess at who should be quick. Marco Attard came so close to clinching the championship last year. He's back with the BMW, but this time a new teammate, the quick Alexander Sims. Michael Caine and Ahmed Al-Harthi were winners towards the end of last season, but a change of car from Porsche to Aston Martin means they might now be a bit of an unknown quantity. It's great to see the return of Hector Lester in the Ferrari, this time with Benny Simonson, the brother of former teammate Alan, who was tragically killed at Le Mans last year. But the man they're all trying to beat, Andrew Howard, is back, and he is ready to defend his crown.
Having had no car changes and having no team changes, it's meant we could actually focus over the winter, the testing and the training that we're doing, and it actually has given us continuity, and that's probably more important than anything. So coming into a new season without new team members or big changes to cars is really, really important. So yeah, it's going to be an interesting year.
The competition this year has moved up another couple of notches with the arrival of the Bentley boys. The mighty GT Continental could be a serious contender.
They're a top team. It's amazing. I've been working with them now from the middle of last year. Myself, Guy Smith and Andy Merrick, developing the car, and British manufacturer. It's just amazing. The first race in Britain for it. It makes me really proud, to be with M Sport. Obviously, the car builder and the factory team. So it's really fantastic.
We also have the welcome return of two Nissans, Tom Onslow Cole making the full-time switch from touring cars to GTs with the Strata 21 squad. The biggest name in the field has to be Sir Chris Hoy, somebody more famous for racing on two wheels than four. The six-time gold medal winning Olympian is very serious about his new career.
Be a massive challenge, but with this team here, they're very experienced, they're great people, so I'm in the right place to learn, and how far I go, who knows. The British cycling team, I think they really modelled themselves on the kind of F1 style of running a team. Everybody realises the importance that they play for the overall goal, the way that everyone's working as hard as they can, doesn't matter what role you're in the team. So to step from that kind of environment into this, it's not as difficult as it might have been. I think that's really helped me. Le Mans would be the dream, I think it's always good to have challenging goals, and I think, we'll see whether that's an achievable goal or not, but yeah, the dream is to drive at the 24 Hours of Le Mans, and this is the team that I can do it with, and they've got so much experience, so I'm not thinking too far ahead. It's always good to have goals and you have a kind of stepping stones between where you are and where you want to be, but I'm not thinking too far beyond. I'm just thinking about this next stepping stone, getting into the British GT series, doing as well as I can, and developing as a driver.
In a super strong GT4 field, last year's champion Rick Parfitt Jr. returns, as does arch rival Declan Jones, who'll be driving a BMW. They're joined out on track by former Porsche Cup driver Tanya Mann, who's making her British GT debut.
It's a very, very strong grid this year. I think there's about 13 cars, so for that reason there's going to be a lot of competition, and not only that, the drives and the pairings are incredibly strong. So it's good to have that competition, and from my perspective, I'm still on a very steep learning curve. So, and they're all, you know, really good guys as well, so they're good fun to hang around with and just, you know, get to know.
So there's a quick look at just some of this season's main contenders. In the meantime, let's get on with the action. It's over to Andy J on the grid.
This is it is race time, and what incredible conditions we have. The weather is amazing, the cars, well, they just look spectacular, and it is an absolutely full grid. So who is on pole? Well, it's Ahmed Al-Harthi in this gorgeous looking Aston Martin, but just proving that they mean business, look who's tucked in behind. It's the defending champions Beechdene, also in an Aston, in a track that traditionally favours Porsches.
Brand new season of the Avon Tyres British GT Championship about to get underway. Martin Haven joined by Liam Jenkins in the commentary box. Liam, looking forward to it?
Absolutely, definitely one of the most competitive fields in recent years, and with the circuit as undulating as Oulton Park, it's going to be a brilliant afternoon of racing.
Certainly should be. Ahmed Al-Harthi in car number 4, leading the field with defending champion Andrew Howard alongside as the 2014 season gets underway. Aston's 1-2, Ahmed Al-Harthi leading from Andrew Howard. All clean, safely through so far. Nissan a little wide over the curbs. Marco Attard third place, the black and blue BMW. And Passin Latouras in fourth place in his Ferrari. We're on board with Sir Chris Hoy. Bentley in front, that is Steve Tandy in the number 2 Bentley. Well, that's the Generation Racing Team 1. M Sport, who build the factory Bentley for international and national racing, also running a car. And what a great sight this is. 32 cars, a phenomenal variety of different sights and sounds.
Absolutely, we've got Aston Martins, Bentleys, Ferraris, BMWs, Porsches to name a few, and even a Lotus Evora in there.
And of course the variety spread across the 2 different classes. 32 car field is just showing the strength of this category. And a problem there for the BMW of Peter Belshaw. Looping it round at the Shell Oils hairpin, no damage done, I think. Oh, but that's trouble. Robert Berg drove an Audi last year. He seems to think the Bentley is about the same size, clatters into John Minshaw. Minshaw's now going to go right to the tail of the field, waiting for the traffic to subside before he can pull out of this side turning. Ahmed Al-Harthi, Andrew Howard, Marco Attard, and Latouras and Johnston. Top half dozen remain the same. So Al-Harthi trying to pull a lead on Andrew Howard. Howard's got his mirrors full of Marco Attard's black and blue BMW. Little gap back to the Audi of Mark Patterson, and then the Bentley-Aston Martin battle. Is there damage on the front of the Bentley? The Aston side by side, and the Bentley's gone off, and so has Phil Driver in number 6. There's nearly a multi-car pilot with the other Bentley involved. Malcolm Wilson can't believe it. And I think the Bentley is headed for the pit lane. The M Sport team, yes it has, I'm sure it has. So Ahmed Al-Harthi is our race leader after the first lap of the season. 888 BMW, the only one of those 2 cars. Liam Jenkins, their sister car, had a big accident in practice.
Yeah, it was Lee Mole and Joe Osborne unfortunately collided with Jodie Firth's Porsche, and unfortunately whilst Firth started from the back of the grid, the other BMW was not so lucky, and hopefully we see them back at Rockingham.
That's exactly why marshals move damaged cars as quickly as they can, because if somebody's gone off there, chances are somebody else might be looking to as well. So 1 BMW from 888. Back in the pit lane, I think the M Sport Bentley is on its way. Yes, it is, Liam.
So here's a replay of what occurred a couple of moments ago. Then you can see the Bentley looking a bit low, actually. On that front left side, the 2 Astons go side by side. Dryberg follows the Bentley off, who's bobbing around on the grass, and there must have been some sustained damage from the collision with Minshaw.
Looks like it. Well, this is the GT4 class, a third of the field this year. Battle for 5th, Oz Yusuf in the Lotus Evora, and Morton Don's right behind in one of the more familiar Ginettas. These cars really bulking out the field here And here is our lead battle in GT4. Ross Wiley in the second Beechdene Aston Martin. This looks almost exactly like the other one. And right behind him, reigning champion Rick Parfitt Jr. back in a Ginetta. On board with Rick. Fully committed here, using the aerodynamics as GT3 cars as he rush up towards Druids. Flat out double right-hander. Again, great to see lots of variety. The Aston Martin has really not performed that strongly so far in GT4 hands. This looks like a very convincing outing. Right behind you can see John Minshaw in the Demon Tweaks Porsche.
Recovering well, but this is what he's recovering from. There was a Bentley charging up the inside there. You can see breaking into the chicane and out of nowhere just clips across the apex. Minshaw spins it round. Not much he can do from that situation except hopelessly watch every other car go past him.
Yeah, he even knew it was coming. You saw him glance in the mirror of the Porsche as well. On board with Rick Parfitt Jr. again. Battle for GT4 honours. And off the pit straight. Look at the crowd around this Oulton Park circuit. Fabulous Easter weather and just perfect conditions. Even so, Ginetta giving up a little bit at the front. This Aston Martin using its tyres well, but Liam, it's a big, heavy car. Wonder if the balance of power will change later on in the race.
It could well do. Of course, Ross still new to this car. It's their first outing in GT4. Can Parfitt capitalise on that and use that momentum gained off being champion to make a pass?
Well, Godfrey Jones in the Jones Brothers McLaren, the silver car, just ahead of Jodie Firth. All White in the Nissan is 14th in front of them, so three-way tussle. And that all-white car showing just how hastily it was repaired after they went off in practice. It hasn't even got a matching pair of mirrors on it. It had a very nice livery, which has all been replaced by brand new spanking white panels. So in GT4, Ross Wiley leads champion Rick Parfitt, and overall, Ahmed Al-Harthi leads champion Andrew Howard in the season opener at Oulton Park. Season opener British GT Championship battle for third place here at Oulton Park. Marco Attard versus Derek Johnston. BMW Z4 Coupe is fast becoming one of the stalwarts of GT racing. Attard with this new car this season. Derek Johnston, the sole 888 car. Battle for fourth in GT4. First is Ollie Basie-Fisher, then Oz Yusuf in the Lotus, Morton Dons right behind in his white Ginetta, and then Tanya Mann, the Australian lady, in the Optimum Ginetta. Optimum, of course, ran Rick Parfitt to the title last year, and wheel to wheel. The Lotus just about clinging to the right line, holds on in front of Morton Dons. Liam, this is looking like a really good battle at 5 cars in the queue now in that GT4 class.
As it always is with GT4, but the thing is with Oulton Park as well, we said before, it's so tight, it's so twisty. The elevation changes make it so difficult to pass, and these drivers have got a lot to contend with in this 1 hour sprint.
Well, that's a really vital part of the equation in British GT as well. It is a 2-driver race. No point killing the tyres trying to get to the front of the field and then hand over some worthless piece of rubbish to your co-driver, because he'll just go backwards. So Rick Parfitt Jr. there in second place, throwing it into Lodge Corner, but he's got to look after those tyres no matter how much he wants to get by the Aston. He's got to preserve the machinery as well. And it's a tough battle, especially for those coming into the championship for the first time. Second place Aston of Andrew Howard behind Peter Belshaw, who spun early on in the race. Liam, he's stuck behind the BMW, and that's cost him ground to our race leader Ahmed Al-Harthi.
Yeah, the only disadvantage with that, of course, is that they're both in Aston Martins, 2 very evenly paced machines. He can't afford to be losing time behind Peter Belshaw.
That's a very good point. The other thing, of course, is that if he really pushes hard to catch up, are they going to put themselves in fuel jeopardy? Off goes Colin White, the bottom of the hill. Oh, and what's this? There's the Joneses, and that's Jodie Firth's Porsche as well. Has there been somebody dropping oil, or was there just racing contact between them? They seem to be unharmed. And around goes the Minshaw car. Oh, hang on a minute, Jodie Firth is losing water. Has he ripped the radiator off on that curb coming back on? Jones's car is damaged on the left as well. Oh, he's got right front damage as well. That is losing all the cooling fluid. And of course, Liam, that's going to be all over the track for everybody else to enjoy.
And their weekend just goes from bad to worse. They recovered so well, they got to 16th within the first 6 laps of the race, and then once again, bad karma strikes, and well, fingers crossed they can get it all sorted out for Rockingham.
Race leaders coming through the GT4, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th place battle, and again it's getting through traffic without damage. That's vital. And what's happened to Marco Attard? A massive lock-up in the rear end of the car. Is the differential blown or something? He is trailing oil everywhere. Well, he comes into the pits out of 3rd place. What a disaster. Got to say, I'm not sure there's too much Barwell can do about that car, and the Jones McLaren is pulling off, radiators full of grass, damage on the left rear, and I think he's got a puncture. He has massive left rear puncture. No wonder he stopped, and the twisted car is off as well.
So a look back at what happened to the Acuria Cos of Marco Attard. You can see him there just breaking. Looks like a lock-up at first, but a big puff of smoke from that rear end, and Andy's found him in the pit lane.
That wasn't in the game plan, was it?
No, it wasn't. I was completely surprised, the whole thing. It's not as if I didn't feel anything, you know, before. Just went going into Lodge, you know, 5th gear, went down to 4th, clunked 3rd, just didn't happen. Looks like the gearbox just completely exploded, split in half or something. I haven't foreseen it myself, but...
Well, oh no, what's going on here? This is Steve Tandy smoking heavily from the left rear of the Bentley. Looks like it might be a puncture. And that is, oh, another Team Parker car in trouble. They've got a Ginetta pulled off. Barry Baxter's Porsche has gone off. The track speed car is leaking oil. Adrian Barwick, twisted Team Parker Ginetta still stationary. And how is Steve Tandy seeing out of that car? All the smoke appears to be inside. Chris Hoy is right behind in the Nissan, looking for a way through safely. John Dillon's Ferrari as well. I don't know if Steve Tandy really knows that they're there. If he gets that car back to the pits with that lack of visibility, then he'll be doing a great job. Slippery flags out just about everywhere. It looks like everybody's been laying oil. And this time it really looks like the end of the road for the track speed Porsche. More trouble than it's worth, that car this weekend. Here's Gary Eastwood, Ferrari number 18. Working his way through the GT4 battle. In front of him, the other Ferrari, that's passing Latouras. And he is going by the battle for 3rd in GT4. Ollie Basie-Fisher. He's in the dark Ginetta, holding off Oz Yusuf in that white Lotus. Behind them, behind those two Ferraris as well, comes Mark Patterson, 6th in the Audi, United Autosports race winners. And still, that Audi is producing a top 6 result for them. So if he can close through traffic as the Ferraris get held up, he could well hand over in a position to challenge for the podium.
And the race went into the final round at Donington in 2013 as well, looking to continue where they left off. Good, strong result here so far.
Well, he's been caught from behind as well. In this GT4 battle, again now with so many GT4 cars, Liam, that is going to slow the leaders and perhaps have the opportunity to close them up. And as you can see, the Aston Martin right there, Mark Poole, the black and red car now latched onto Mark Patterson. And Steve Tandy has somehow got back to the pit lane. Down in the pits, it's a story of woe for Jody Firth. He's with Andy.
Can you tell us what happened?
Yeah. I mean, obviously we started from the back of the grid through an incident on Saturday, meaning we had to start from the spare car. So the Jones McLaren he made a mistake into Cascade. So as I went to just sort of go up his inside, he half sort of lost it, and then I couldn't avoid him as he half sort of spun, and I just run into the back of him. So not really much I could do about that one.
Let's hope there's no running into the back off here. This is our GT4 lead battle with the race leader right behind. Ross Wiley in his Aston, Rick Parfitt in the Ginetta, and then car number 4, Ahmad Al-Harthi in his Aston Martin. So Parfitt now, well, the lead has gone by, so that removes one part of the equation. But this is all part of trying to have your own race, Liam, with quicker or perhaps slower cars on the track as well. You've got to take everything into account.
Yeah, one of the biggest factors in GT racing, of course, you have that almost trouble of trying to get past some of them if they're, dueling away amongst themselves. There's not enough track room, especially at Oulton Park. It's going to be a real hindrance, but luckily Al-Harthi got through okay. And it looks to me like Parfitt's getting a bit hasty behind him now.
Yeah, shaping up for a move. The Bentley on its way again. And lots of oil being cleared up in the pit lane as well as everywhere else down on the track. Well, here's the battle for 9th place. Sir Chris Hoy ahead of John Dillon's Ferrari. And the Nissan driver, in only his second season as a racing driver, raced in Radicals last year, and Chris Hoy saying that his plan, his long-term motor racing goal, is to race at Le Mans in 2016, and with the progress he's making so far, I've got to say that might well be on. Top of the rise, that is the second placed Aston Martin of Andrew Howard. The two Beechstein cars very close together, and he is being caught by the 888 BMW. And now let's see if one Beechstein Aston holds up the other one and helps the BMW get in the fray. Oh, and that's Rick Parfitt Jr. going very slowly. The man who is second in the GT4 class.
And he's desperately flicking things inside the cockpit, trying to get something to work, but unfortunately it is end of the race.
A disaster for our champion in the GT4s. Battle on for second at Oulton Park, round one of the British GT Championship for 2014. The black car, Derek Johnson, the 888 BMW. Champion Andrew Howard in second place to pole sitter Ahmad Al-Harthi, but he got held up in traffic, and Liam Jenkins, now he's going to have to fight off the BMW, which does look quicker.
It definitely does. 888 got so close to the championship last year as well, but a good drive at Donington secured it for the Beechstein team. But let's see what the world's fastest ice cream van's got up its sleeve this time.
Both the Astons and the BMWs have been very competitive in the hunt for the championship, closing round the last 2 years. And again, right at the front of the field, Edgar is back in for more remedial work. It'll be great when we really see that car on song. Their international races are very quick indeed. A safety car getting ready to come out, and this might be for a bit of general housekeeping, but in comes Andrew Howard. Now, have they timed that well, or is that going to really cost them? He's not the only one on pit road. You'll see a few more callers making their stop. So down at Howard's end of the pit lane, it is time for Johnny Adam to take over the Beechstein Aston. Of course, all the pit stops must be done within a 10-minute window in the centre of the race. So as the pit lane gets increasingly busy, safety car boards are out, I'm sure. Ahmad Al-Harthi will be in. Chris Hoy comes flying in the background in the Nissan. He will hand over to Nissan Nismo athlete Alex Buncombe, who raced with Jan Mardenborough so close to the title 2 seasons ago.
And that pit stop window really is building up, isn't it? It's absolutely heaving down there. It's only a short pit lane here at Oulton Park, and the drivers, I think, are finding that out firsthand.
Well, they're all having to park in at an angle, which means, of course, the teams have to push them back like an aircraft before they can rejoin the track. So the safety car out means that everybody is going to scramble in. There you go. You can see Johnny Adams' #1 car being pushed out as the number 55 Ginetta comes through, and the race leader stays out. And that might not be a bad call. The pit lane might be almost empty by the time Ahmad Al-Harthi gets in, because you have to be pretty precise with the parking here, and the safety car's in the way, and that might have something to do with the way that the race ends up. As Al-Harthi comes in, Johnny Adam was trying to get out of the pit lane, the exit of which should have been open. It was a bit blocked by the safety car.
So Hardy will hand over to Michael Caine. We'll see what Michael Caine can do. Hardy's done a fantastic job. He's not lost the lead once in this first stint. So if Michael Caine can continue, then Aston are going to be looking on top form in that Oman racing team.
Of course, after a penalty at Snetterton last year, Johnny Adam did not have the same points count as his teammate at the end of the year. Andrew Howard was the sole champion, although he said spiritually and in every other way he regarded Johnny Adam as his co-champion. Let's hope that there is no separating of drivers for that reason this year, because it is all about teamwork, not just the team in the pits, but the two drivers have to share the car and look after it for each other.
Talking of sharing the car, down the pit lane comes the blue Beechstein Aston. He was the GT4 leader, and then he comes switches with Jake Giddingson, and behind the safety car is Sir Chris Hoy's teammate Alex Buncombe. Andy has found to Chris in the pit lane.
Well, how does that feel? First race experience now.
Yeah, it was amazing, really. I can't believe half an hour just passed in the blink of an eye. loads of exciting moments, loads of kind of near misses and exciting bits where I thought, I might be going off the track, but I got a little bump from a Ferrari. At one point he turned in on me, but kept it on the track, and I think we came back in 9th place, so took 5 places from the grid position, so nice, pretty happy, yeah.
Well, from the 2012 Olympic champion, the 2012 British GT champion, Michael Caine comes down pit road in the number 4 Aston Martin. He's taken that over from Ahmad El Harthi, his teammate. Of course, they're going to have to filter into the queue somewhere. So how is this going to shake out in terms of the race result? We've got about half an hour left to find out. Meanwhile, Andy is in the pit lane, and he is caught up with our pole sitter, Ahmad El Harthi.
Well, I've just helped you off the floor there, where you looked like you were having a rest or a relax, but you're not chilled at all, are you?
To be honest, the race is still on, and it's always a stressful time. I did what I have to do. It was a good start, comfortable lead, and just trying to build away. But unfortunately, the safety car came right just before my pits, and hopefully doesn't cause so much damage to our lead. And now Michael just has to put his head down and do what he does best.
Well, out of the GT4 battle, Rick Parfitt Jr. back in the pit lane.
Well, I thought we were going to come and chat to you about being in second, but from the looks of things, that's not the case anymore.
Very similar to Rockingham last year, where literally no power and all of a sudden the engine died. So suspected wiring loom, possibly engine, I don't know, remains to be seen. But, from my point of view, a strong start. I'm happy to see that the pace is there, but very disappointing for Century and all my sponsors in the first race. But we'll be back.
Well, lots more racing to go in the championship. At least he knows now what he's got to make up for. Safety car lights are off, long train of cars, and somewhere in the middle is our race leader, Michael Caine. And that means that the second part of this race for just about everybody will be as full of traffic and as fraught as it was in the first part. Away they go. Alex Buncombe in the Nissan makes a racing start. Behind him is the battle for 10th on track. Tom Onslow-Cole in the Nissan, and he's got Phil Keane in the Demon Tweaks Porsche right behind him. There they go through your shot. So let's just wait and see. Where is the race leader, Michael Caine? Still not through the picture. There he is as he climbs the curbs. Behind the white and blue Oman racing car is the sister car, Rory Butcher in the white and red version. He's in 17th, a lap behind. He's trying to unlap himself from Michael Caine, while Caine tries to work his way through traffic and hold the race lead. And the smoky Bentley kicks up the dust as well. They're just in front of the battle for second. Black BMW, the Dayglow highlights. That's Luke Hines. So he is in second place in the race. Behind him, the red Ferrari, that's Richard Lyons. He's in third. And there is your race leader. So not much traffic between them, only 2 other cars. Behind Richard Lyons, Johnny Adam in the white and blue Beechdene Aston Martin. So suddenly the lead group is very close together after the safety car. Michael Caine just behind the number 2 Bentley. So Caine with cars left, right and centre, GT3 and GT4, and somebody stopped on the exit of the chicane as well.
That's Jamie Stanley, the Fox Motorsports car number 48, and the marshal rushes over. Make sure that's well off the circuit. It won't be a hindrance to anyone, but disappointment there for Jamie Stanley.
They've had enough of people hitting stationary cars, so they're going to move that one. There is the black BMW of Luke Hines in second place. Richard Lyons right with him in the Ferrari. Green flags waving, but blue flags will be fluttering all over the place as well. Just to remind the slower cars in GT4 that quicker cars are right behind them. Look for the Beechdene Aston Martin. It's got by the Lotus Evora. It's the 3rd car in this little battle, and the Audi is right there as well. Matt Bell has taken over from Mark Patterson. Again, at every corner you're having to cut through slower traffic. 1 car is easier, 2 or 3, that's pretty demanding stuff.
I think it's just a good job as well, especially for that AF Corsa, that may be the most unexperienced driver's out of the car now, despite the Ferrars having a great 2013 season, graduated from Ferrari Academy. He's handed over to a very experienced hand in Richard Lyons, who will know certainly what to do in this situation.
Car number 6, John Gore, Mr. Aston Martin Racing. He is chasing Richard Aberrow in front, the red and black Aston. That's 7th and 8th, and behind them, look at the little white Lotus. Gavin Kershaw has taken that car over, and that is coming back up the GT4 class order. It's behind Dan Camish's Porsche at the moment.
Yeah, Dan Camish, the reigning Formula 4 champion, making his debut here in British GT. Not gone too badly at all here in the opening stint. He's kept his nose clean after the safety car start.
Now then, change as the lapped car of Rory Butcher goes by Michael Caine, the race leader. Don't necessarily read into that Caine, with the turquoise highlights, is slowing down. I think he just wanted to let his teammate by, so he's got less to worry about in the mirrors. And the Bentley looking a little squirmy there as he rides the curbs. And here is the battle behind. Luke Hines, Richard Lyons, Johnny Adam there in the first of the Astons in your shot, then Matt Bell's Audi. They have got clear air now as they chase race leader Michael Caine in car number 4. So that's first and second, the BMW, third, the Ferrari. Then we've got Aston, Audi, Ferrari, Aston, Aston. That is your race leading group. And this is now settling itself down into quite a battle. They can all see the target in front of them, and a racing driver loves nothing more than that.
So we're going to come down to sheer experience and really planning a manoeuvre here, because as we've said so many times before, Oulton Park is so difficult to overtake at, so it's really about forcing your opponent into an error without being too aggressive.
Rory Butcher in a red and white Oman Racing Aston Martin goes by the number 2 Bentley, and I wonder whether part of Michael Caine's reasoning for letting him go was to have Rory sweep the road, open the gaps in traffic that Caine can then slot through, hopefully without losing time. If that works, then he may open up a gap on the pursuing pack.
Yeah, that BMW is not going to have an entirely easy job getting it through, because a bit wider, it's more powerful out the corners, but the Aston, to be honest, if he's got that teammate in front doing all the hard work, it's just going to make life so much easier for him. And one life that's not easy right now is that beach dean of Johnny Adam. He's under some intense pressure from Matt Bell.
It's shaping up to be a fantastic finish here at the season opener. Closing stages of the season opener in British GTs at Oulton Park. There's your race leader, Michael Caine. Behind him, the black BMW, Luke Hines. Then Richard Lyons, the red Ferrari. Don't worry too much about the Bentley, he's several laps down. Richard Lyons in the Ferrari, the Beechstein Aston, Johnny Adam, Matt Bell there, 23, the white Audi. Then Rob Barth's red Ferrari. And then Richard Abra and John Gore in their Aston Martin. So lots of different machinery. And at the moment, it does look as though Michael Caine's teammate Rory Butcher is opening up the traffic nicely for him, and that's allowing these cars behind to get on with their own race. As they get by the Bentley. Well, the other Beechstein Aston still leading in GT4. Here's the battle for second. Gavin Kershaw's Lotus on the inside with the blue highlights. Getting in front of Devon Modell's Aston Martin is not going to be the work of a moment, but he's got an overlap going as they come across the line. Still the Aston about 1.5 inches in front, but Kershaw with the inside, and he takes second place away. Those cars look immensely evenly balanced, although I don't think that Modell will be helping himself much if he's running that Aston over the grass. Back with our chasing pack, behind James Appleby in the number 2 Bentley is Johnny Adam. He lies in 4th place, Matt Bell, Rob Barth, and without a bonnet, John Gore now behind Richard Abra. Not sure that's going to do much for under bonnet cooling or aerodynamics either. Feeling he might want to be calling into the pit lane fairly soon. James Appleby with the hazard warning lights on. That Bentley does look a bit of a handful. Oh, and there's another handful.
It's a 55 of Matt Nicol-Jones. Let's take a look and see how it all happened. And what's happened now? It's a complete pirouette, isn't it? A 360. And there's no way it's going to go in a hurry. Luckily, I think the engine's still alive, but nonetheless a big dent in the works.
Without the bonnet on his blue, white and black Aston Martin, John Gore, one of 4 Aston Martins in the top 8. There's a Ferrari of Rob Barth chasing down Matt Bell. Matt Bell in the Audi, showing his nose to the inside of the Beechstein Aston of Johnny Adam.
And I wonder if that United Autosports Audi does get past because of the Bentley not moving out of the way. Could very much be a case of how the Grinch stole Christmas in a GT4.
Rob Barth is hoping to steal away a couple of positions here, waiting for Matt Bell to try something on Johnny Adam in front, and then the Ferrari driver will be able to pounce. Johnny Adam has got an awful lot of Audi in his mirrors. Look how close Matt Bell is getting under braking, got very squirrely. There is Richard Abra in the number 38 Aston Martin, and John Gore behind him. Tom Onslow-Cole in for a drive-through. Much tougher rules on track limits this year. You're not allowed to really ride the curbs a lot. Essentially, it's now, there's the grey bit, stay on it, or pay the price in the pit lane, and you lose far more time for a drive-through than you could possibly make up by ditch hooking in the corners. Three-way battle for 4th place. They've shaken off the pursuing Aston Martins. It does look that the man on the move might be the one in the middle, Matt Bell there. In fact, John Gore has confused that by moving by Richard Abra. So, in fact, quite a long way past Richard Abra's Aston, so Abra must have made a mistake there somewhere. And still stuck behind the Bentley. Increasingly frustrating, I'm sure, for Johnny Adam.
So whilst these guys are tucked up behind the Bentley, one man who's escaped in front is Richard Lyons in the AF Corsa, but he's not really pulled out that much of the gap, which is interesting.
Well, maybe the Bentley driver thinks that the blue flag's been waved at the Ferrari to allow him by, but that's not the case. And again, slow off the chicane for the Aston Martin. Here's a chance for Matt Bell in the Audi, the 3rd car in your shot. Has to tuck back, though, behind the #1 machine. So the Beechstein Aston holds on. You're absolutely right, Richard Lyons has not got away from this group, so the Bentley, if it ever responds to the blue flags and gets out to the way, might allow the group to close back up again. That Aston Martin with Johnny Adam should be able to go quicker without the Bentley right in front. The Bentley's not immediately holding him up, but what happens is all the turbulent air off the back of the Bentley is starting to affect the handling at the front of the Aston Martin. It won't turn the way it should, it won't brake the way it should, and temperatures will be rising in the cockpit and under the bonnet. White tail end of our race leader, Michael Caine behind the red Ferrari. Hector Lester started that car. Betty Simonson is the 2nd driver. The battle for 4th still stuck behind the Bentley. Bath closing in this lap. Got a good run down the hill. Big battle here. Alex Buncombe leads it in the Nissan. He's 9th ahead of Phil Keane in the Porsche. That bright red Aston is Andy Schultz. Stephen Kane in the black and white Bentley. 13 is Aaron Scott's Ferrari. Red and white Aston is Rory Butcher. Matt Draper's Ginetta GT4 car staying out of the way, and here comes the leader, almost a full lap in front of those guys. Stop and go penalty for the car that's in 2nd place, though. That's Luke Hines. Now, what can that be for? A pit lane infringement, you would think, and that's really tough. He has served his penalty immediately, and that is what has dropped him off the back of our race leader, and he was so close to them as well.
And that means that battle for 3rd we were witnessing earlier on is now going to become a battle for 2nd, and at this stage in the championship, the more points you can get now, the less you have to fight for later, and Johnny Adam is going to be under intense pressure as now Bell goes to the outside, but not quite there just yet. Stern defending from Johnny Adam.
Well, it's the same stuff, isn't it? They get down to the Knickerbrook chicane every time, and the Aston Martin is under threat, and they are still behind the Bentley, which now obviously thinks that the blue flags are being waved for somebody else again. Here comes the battle for what is now 8th place. Alex Buncombe ahead of Phil Keane in 33. And they're going by the number 45 GT4 BMW on either side. John Gore! Oh my goodness me! And that is a huge accident. And luckily the car stays on the ground. That looked as though Rob Bath was going to go airborne and into the trees for a moment. Wow, that was a very significant opportunity for chaos, narrowly avoided there, and Bath creeps what's left of the Ferrari back to the pit lane. Wow, that was a big escape.
So just take a look once again, he's just caught the front end, the back end goes careering into the barriers. Luckily, somehow stays on the ground. You can see the bodywork going off the back of the car. I don't think he's going to be able to finish the race, but luckily the driver seems to be okay, driving it back to the pit lane, which is always a promising sign after a shot like that.
Wow, so was that John Gore getting into the back of the Ferrari with his Aston Martin? Whatever, they were trying to lap the traffic. There's the GT4 race leader, the Beechstein Aston, out on its own. What a dream debut this is for the team. Of course, last year they won the championship, and now they are streaking away in the GT4 class. Let's get down to the pit lane. Andy is with Ross Wiley.
Ross, you were leading, feeling good?
Yeah, it's great. Obviously, it's a completely different experience for me. know, so I was a bit nervous in the first rolling start, but yeah, we managed to hold the lead, and safety car came in, so perfect opportunity to do a driver change, and I'm feeling confident Jake will do a good job.
Championship winning team you've joined. Pressure?
I'm not sure if there is a little bit added pressure. I'm not entirely sure, but it's certainly great to be representing Beechstein, you know, coming into the series as reigning GT3 champions. So yeah, really proud to be a part of it.
Well, here is our race leader, Michael Caine, 2012 champion. John Gore's car looking more and more damaged, especially after that grassy off where he somehow avoided the looping Rob Bath. Bath must have touched the BMW as he went by him. Whatever else is happening in John Gore's weekend, Aston Martin looking very strong indeed. Dominant in GT4 and have run away from pole position in GT3. I don't think the car's actually been overtaken on the track at all. The 888 BMW was closing in, but this is going to be a very good looking deal for Michael Caine and Ahmad Al-Harthi, swapping from Porsche last year to Aston Martin this. They are going to open their 2014 Avon Tyres British GT account with victory in the first race. Just 2 corners remain. A little bit of dust and debris from that Rob Bath accident is not going to get in the way. And a great start for the Oman Air team. Ahmad Al-Harthi and Michael Caine win the season opener here at Oulton Park at a canter. So much so that less than 4 seconds behind the second Ferrari, passing Latourus and Richard Lyons, and here comes the battle for third, and it is Johnny Adam just in front of Matt Bell, third and fourth, behind the recalcitrant Bentley, and the battle of the Astons for fifth place. John Gore in front of Richard Abra, who still can't get by. Well, whatever they've done at Aston Martin Racing over the winter has worked. 4 of the top 6 cars in GT3 are Aston Martins, and the GT4 car as well. What a great job these guys have done. Ross Wiley and Jake Giddings, pole position, leading every lap, and victory in the season opener, and a great debut for Beechstein in the GT4 class, a win first time out.
And what a season opener it's been. It's lived up to every bit of hype, and talking about hype, what about this battle right at the very end? They can see Phil Keane in front. Oh, and off goes Andy Schultz. And the horsepower racing comes to a heartbreaking end. They had success last year in Britcar, but this year not so much. Right at the very end, that battle still continues on though, as they loop their way through Lodge for the final time today, very shortly after just coming out of Druids. And it's still going to be Phil Keane leading that charge, we believe, at the moment, in front of the number 13 Ferrari, belonging of course to Aaron Scott, who still wants to challenge. And there's the number 40, who's just made a gorgeous pass in the Aston Martin, and Butcher comes right back at him. Can Tom Sharp hold on to the line? It's going to be a nail biter, but Sharp just does it.
A debut win in GT4 for Beechstein's Jake Giddings and Ross Wiley. Teammates Andrew Howard and Johnny Adam third behind Panis Latour and Richard Lyons, but our race winners Ahmad Al-Harthi and Michael Caine.
Swapping cars has proven very, very worthwhile, hasn't it?
Yeah, it has. I mean, you know, Aston have been great. You know, they've helped us all the way, and they do a great job. They build a good car, and it looks like it takes the weight better. But yeah, new crash helmet with the girls on it. So yeah. That's the first win, girls.
Last year to win the championship, you know, for Andrew was great success, but for this year to come back with the grid, for the quality the grid's got, and lovely to see so many Astons as well. Yes, it would have been lovely to win the race, but great to see Motorbase win for the Aston.
The team were telling me we're in position 3, but it was hard to believe whenever there was like 20 cars in front of us. But yeah, it settled down. You know, once we got past a few back markers, it settled into position, and I guess I just had to trust what I was hearing, even though it was quite unbelievable. But yeah, it was fantastic.
You couldn't start much better than that, could you?
No, not really. I've got to give it the credit to Ross. He started the race, he got the gap, and then luckily for me when I come out there was a safety car, so I managed to latch onto the back of the pack, and we managed to have a lap lead on the rest of the GT4 grid. So really it's just bringing the car home. Couldn't blame the car, it was absolutely faultless. The team done a fantastic job, as they always do, and it's just, yeah, a fantastic way to start the season and mine and Ross's GT careers.
Single-seater refugee Alexander Sims was on pole position for round 2 of the championship in the number 79 Kyriakos BMW. Despite the mighty pressure of the pack behind him, held the lead into the first corner. Tom Oliphant was out early in the Century Motorsport Ginetta that retired under Rick Parfitt Jr. in race 1, and that brought out the safety car just as the pit window was about to open. Quick thinking brought people in early, but Richard Abbott in the Aston was first in, the officials taking a dim view of him lingering at the pit entrance, rewarding him with a drive-through penalty. It was Mark Patterson in the United Autosports Audi who gained the advantage from the early stopping. Gary Eastwood was charging behind in second, looking up into Knickerbrook. He hit the Audi, putting both of them out of the race, much to the annoyance of the United Autosport team. It was a weekend to forget for FF Corsa's Rob Bath. Well, that incident returned the BMW to the front. Marco Attard was under pressure from John Minshaw in the Demon Tweaks Porsche. He held on to give the Acuria Cost team their first win of the season. In GT4, Andrew Jarman brought the TF Sport Aston home to win the class. A second, third place finish for Beechney's Andrew Howard and Johnny Adam behind the battle for the lead. The track speed Porsche of John Minshaw and Phil Keane second to Alexander Sims and Marco Attard.
I mean, it looks like I've done a marathon, but, you know, I know I've only done about 15 laps or so, or 10 laps, but it was great. No, everyone's done a great job, especially after the disappointment of the gearbox blowing up this morning. Exactly. So, you know, we're very happy about that.
Well, 12th to second tells its own story, doesn't it?
Well, we weren't expecting that. To be honest, we didn't think we had the pace, but the car's very, very good on old tyres, on worn-out tyres, and we can sort of pretty much do the same times. And, well, it came to us. By the end of the day, at the end of the race, it came to us. I'm surprised. I didn't expect that. Maybe a top 5 with any luck, but, you know, to be second was, well, extraordinary, really.
First round, first year in British GT, and to get a win and a podium, you know, I couldn't have wished for any more. So it's a great result.
The championship's looking very good if you're an Aston Martin driver. They're 1-2 in the GT4 class, Jarman and Modell ahead, and just a point separating Kane Al-Harthi and Howard and Adam at the top of the overall standings in GT3.
Well, that's it from Oulton Park. A fantastic day's racing and a massive congratulations to Ahmed Al-Harthi and Michael Kane for their win in round 1, and to Marco Attard and Alexander Sims for their win in round 2, showing that both the Aston and the BMW are going to be forces to reckon with this year. The GT teams don't have long to rest though, before the next round of the championship takes place at Rockingham. We'll see you there.